Hey everyone, welcome to another time-lapse sketching tutorial. Today we will sketch this scene, and this was actually sketched and painted during a live streaming session a few days ago on my YouTube channel. But during that live stream, I was actually talking more about the Urban Sketchers Symposium rather than talking about how I made this sketch. So this is the tutorial for the sketch. And here are the tools and supplies I have used for this sketch. And this is the reference photo I will be using, which you can find in the video description below. So I did not upload any tutorials or videos in December because I was too busy. And the big announcement that I announced during the live stream was I am going to the Urban Sketchers Symposium in Auckland, New Zealand in April this year as the official video correspondent, and I am very excited about that. I am very excited to be able to make those videos for you guys again, for people, for sketchers who are not able to make it to the symposium. I actually talked more about the symposium in the live stream, so do check out the live stream if you have time. In this video, I just want to talk about the drawing process for this street scene. So this is a one-point perspective scene, and the vanishing point is somewhere on the right side. If you can find the vanishing point first, it's going to help you draw all those diagonal lines more accurately. And you may notice I have actually used pencils to draft out the composition. Using pencils to draft out the composition allows me to ensures that I am able to fit all the subjects that I want to fit on the page onto the page. And if I make any mistakes during the penciling stage, I will know to avoid the mistakes when I'm sketching with ink. My perspective may be slightly off. Anyway, the most challenging part about this sketch is the lighting, which you can see is not that great because this photo was taken during very cloudy conditions, so there is no obvious light and shadow. And because there is no cast shadows, sometimes it can be difficult to make out the form of the subject. So the line art that you draw will be very important. You have to show the form of the subject very clearly with your line art when you don't have light and shadows to help you. So the pen I'm using is the Sailor fountain pen with zoom nib. It's a very nice nib to use for drawing because it can put out a lot of ink and the ink flow is great. I love to use this pen for making my tutorials because the lines are thick and easy to can be captured easily by my camera. So for this sketch, I work my way from the left to the right side. Having the perspective lines or the drafting lines drawn at the start really helped me position all the buildings properly. And you may notice I did not follow my pencil lines exactly because while sketching, I realized that my composition, the pencil composition is slightly off, so I just tweaked it slightly when I inked this. The challenging thing about sketching one-point perspective or any perspective scenes is on capturing the compressed look of the perspective. So if you look at the reference photo, you can see the windows by the side of the building on the left. They are compressed, but for my sketch, they look a bit more spread out. So my perspective is off slightly. If you want to draw perspective scene more accurately, you really have to measure the proportion for the surfaces or the foam that are in perspective. This sketch was drawn in 30 minutes and that's actually quite fast. Anyway, the sketchbook I'm using is not that big, so it doesn't take that much time to sketch a scene like this. The watercolor I'm using is Roman Szmal watercolor from Poland. This is actually a review sample sent to me. I have already written a text review for this, and the quality for this watercolor is pretty good. I'll put out a video review soon. So for this sketch, I wet the sky first to create the soft look. Even though in the photo you can see it's kind of cloudy, but here I just wanted to add colors to make this look more colorful. Otherwise the scene is going to look quite boring. It's not going to look that exciting. And that's the fun thing about using watercolor. You can make any scene look exciting, look beautiful, energetic, lively, even if the scene looks boring in real life. Yeah. So with the right colors, with the right sketching style, you can make the scene look just more lively. That's the sketch made by my daughter Tiffany using POSCA markers. This sketch was painted with a limited color palette of yellow, red, and blue. Obviously, I cannot remember the exact pigments that I have listed right at the start of the video. Anyway, when it comes to painting, try to use a limited color palette so that it's easier to achieve color harmony. I like to paint the roofs orange or red. And when the wash is still wet, you can charge in extra colors to create those beautiful color gradations. You can see some color gradations on the ground and also on the building on the left side. The color on the left side is was mixed with yellow ochre or raw sienna with slight red, if I remember correctly. And the brown, this brown looks like burnt umber to me. One of the earth colors in this set is difficult to dissolve, or it's difficult to re-wet, so I had difficulty making that brown for the brown windows. So for this sketch, I work layer by layer, painting the lighter values first, the sky and the ground, followed by adding the mid values like the plants, the buildings, the red awning, the signboards, and now I'm painting the windows. And next I will add the darker shadows or the blacks to basically balance out the whole sketch. To make your watercolor sketch look good, you have to create contrast, and you can create contrast with many different methods. You can create contrast with colors, you can create contrast with value, for example light versus dark. You can create contrast with details, fewer details versus lots of details. You can get contrast from shapes, angular shapes versus organic shapes. There are so many ways to create contrast. And if you can create the right balance of contrast, your sketch is going to look interesting. And contrast will also help certain elements stand out. For example, you will not know that something is bright unless there is something dark beside it that you can use to compare to. The coloring process took me about an hour, so the inking process took half an hour. And now I'm running my watercolor brush against the fountain pen nib to create some splatter marks. I usually use a clip instead of the fountain pen nib to create those splatter marks, but for this tutorial I use the fountain pen nib. So that's the new box set of POSCA markers I bought recently for less than US $30, and there are 15 markers. So I'm using the markers to add texture as well as more overlapping elements such as the road signs you see on the left side. POSCA markers are opaque, so you can draw over lines or colors that were already painted. And I'm adding more details on the right side because this sketch feels kind of unfinished with that big white area on the right side that has nothing. So I'm adding little white spots and yellow spots and lines to suggest lighting at the restaurant that is on the right side. And I'm using the red opaque paint to paint over the windows that I have painted just now. And when the red is dry, I will draw this rectangle, this white rectangle with the white POSCA marker. So after adding the really dark shadows and textures, the sketch will come alive. The only thing that's missing from this scene is cast shadows because it was a cloudy day. And if you are sketching on location, do take a photo if you can when there is sunlight, so that if the weather suddenly changes and becomes cloudy, at least you still have some reference for the light, for the sunlight that you can use. Alright, so this is just a quick little sketch. If you guys want to learn more about pen, ink, and watercolor sketching and urban sketching, do check out the many free tutorials I have on my YouTube playlist. All the links are in the video description below, and do consider supporting me on Patreon to help me put out more videos like this. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye!